Hello and welcome to Bloodborne vs. Sleuth, episode 3, Better, Faster, Stronger. So in this episode, just going to be kind of recovering after the big fight against the cleric beast and getting some armour, getting some level ups, getting a lot of blood echoes. Not dying too much, thank goodness. Actually did quite well on this run, feeling pretty pleased with myself. And we're back at the loading screen. Looking at some of the great features of Bloodborne, some of the items. The crow feather garb is pretty cool, and I'm going to do a run here to show people basically where to get some free armor, to get the hunter armor, which is very similar to the one that you'll get in the store that you can pay for around 4,000 to 5,000 blood echoes. So you can get it for free and you can get a lot of blood echoes on your way to getting it, which makes it better value, I think, as a starting or an early armor. I've been looking into new ways to record. I'd kind of like to record while I'm playing Bloodborne, because it would be better if you could see me shitting myself, or at least hear me shitting myself. Maybe seeing it would be a bit too much. But that looks like I'm going to need to get a capture card and kind of start a more advanced setup, which without student finance is going to be tough. But when all that money kind of rocks up, then I'm going to start looking into that. But until then, we're stuck with me and the SHAREfactory, which shouldn't be too bad. So all I'm doing here is the same werewolf technique. I mentioned last time that I think that the creators of Bloodborne kind of built this into the game to kind of allow the hunters to learn techniques to fight different enemies and to exploit the world. I've been kind of thinking about that more in between this video and the last, and I definitely think that is part of the game design, because later on there's an encounter with the same werewolves that works on the same principles, but actually involves tricking the player into coming a bit too close and basically punishing with werewolves. I really do like that about the game, in that it's really good at establishing a technique and then kind of turning the technique on its head and punishing you for it. I mean, it only works once or twice, and then you tend to learn a way around it, or you learn not to put yourself in that position. But the first time, it's always surprising, and you're always kind of can feel the game designer working against you, which is a really good thing for a game to have. So if you're looking for some free armor in Yharnam, the best thing to do is to walk down here, down the central bridge, make a right after you've beaten the wolves. It's also worth checking out the rest of the bridge, although there's no drops or anything as you get to the back. It's just kind of a deserted carriage. So yeah, so you make a right down here. You'll be able to find some pebbles and look over to the fire pit where all the blood-starved humans are gathered. And then smash all these barrels and get yourself down here. Now, I don't know many people that have naturally found this. I know a lot of people that found this through watching Let's Plays and watching other videos or doing a bit of research. But basically it's another way into the sewers. With the build that I've got, I'm not much of a fighter against rats at the moment. Rats kind of work at a different speed to my combat style, because the axe basically, once you go into the swing, if you don't hit the rats, you have to recover for a few seconds with your stamina bar, and that can be quite difficult to do, as you can see here. So I'm just gonna take this rat out, I think. Yep. And then move along to the edge here, and you'll face this enemy. It can be pretty darn tough, especially if you're using an axe build, because he's quick at recovery and high damage. I know that sword canes are more suited to him, and you can kind of keep him into a stun loop. And then if you walk along here, you get your full set of armour. So now I'm just going to push back through the sewers, which is going to be pretty darn tricky. There's a lot of rats, and they are not easy to deal with, especially with my build, because I'm quite slow. And if I can't get these attacks in, I kind of have a few stun frames where I'm kind of recovering from the attacks, and the rats will strike then, and they'll gobble me up. So, as you can see that. So I'm just kind of trying to create some space, trying to work my way around them. I hate the rats in all the From Software games. They were the bane of my existence in the first Dark Souls, and they've only become worse as I've gone on. I mean, at least these ones don't have poison. So again, just creating space, just healing up, and dealing with the rats, which ain't too hard. I don't think I put my armour on for a little while. That's pretty much because I don't want to stop, because stopping around here can leave yourself open to attacks. I mean, now I've cleared myself up here. Now would have been a good time to put the armour on, but it's okay just to keep going. So I just passed all the kind of the hags, the witches down on the floor, as you can see there. Easiest way to get past them is just to run. They're very slow. They're not going to catch you up. They're not going to do much damage to you unless you kind of dawdle or you stay to try and attack them. Attacking them can be quite difficult because a lot of attacks go over their heads. So you need to try to work out your kind of attacks that are low sweeping or low arcing. Same with the ravens here. The only difference with the ravens is that they can jump up. So you can kind of just throw an attack up at them, and most of your attacks will hit when they jump up at you. Again, just getting some bits and pieces. Back there I got Madman's Knowledge, which is really useful. It gives you insight. Insight is like a secondary currency in the game, so you can use it to buy specialist armor, some specialist bits of equipment, a couple of things to gain help from allies. You can also expend one insight point to bring someone else into the game. You gain insight from boss encounters and from Madman's Insight, and from the third umbilical cord, which is something we'll get onto later in the game.
Are you a hunter?
This is me talking to a young girl. She's got a little like kind of side quest, one of the earlier side quests in the story that relates to the second boss battle, which is quite interesting. She says that her father's gone missing and that her mother went after her father. We'll find out their fates later on. The best thing to do here is to agree to help her mother and father, and she'll give you a music box, which I think she's just doing right now, yeah. And the music box will just kind of come in useful a little bit later. So this is a secret passage back to the towards where the fire pit was, on the other side of that wall, the fountain area of Yharnam. You get to see the beautiful gate animation, which seems to take eons, especially when you're being chased by enemies. And then we're just passing through the gate, and I think I'm going to start heading back to the fountain here, to the lantern. Just picking up a couple of things on the way. The oil urns are really useful, especially in boss battles, because they increase the amount of fire damage you can do, and the length of effect that fire-based weapons can do. Now I'm back in the dog area. The dogs are more present. You can get a couple of extra blood echoes by taking out the dogs in the cages. It's a little bit unfair, but every blood echo counts, and it's a dog-eat-dog world. So just rushing back through the house towards the lantern, and I think we're going to get to spending some blood echoes and work out my build. Alright, so we're back at the Hunter's Dream, and we're going to start doing some early buying. So the first thing that I find useful to to buy and to build up is blood vials. I don't do that immediately because I want to work towards my build, but especially when farming, the best thing to farm is kind of blood vials. Here we're getting a good look at the hunter armour that you unlock in the sewers. It's a little bit different to the Yarnum armour that you can get from the Bath Messengers, the Bath Imps. But personally, I think it's kind of better looking and a little bit more useful. Now I'm just going to work towards my build. I like to focus on vitality, endurance, and strength. Vitality just kind of increases your basic your hit points, your resistances. Your endurance also helps with your defenses and your resistances, but it also allows you greater stamina, and then strength just increases the amount of melee hits and the amount of resistance. So by focusing on those three, I create a very resistant and very durable build that can kind of juggernaut through most of the game. Now I'm just talking to Gurmand, the first hunter. He just kind of welcomes us in. I believe that he is the character in the opening cutscene, but the only thing that kind of keeps me wondering on that is that he seems to welcome us here when we get to the Hunter's Dream, which makes me think that he doesn't know us, or maybe he's just done this to so many hunters that he just doesn't really recognise us. And then we're going to go back into Central Yarnum to do a bit more farming, and as I said before, I'm going to try and show you the secrets that I can find. This is just the Joy of Bloodborne, the loading screens. We've got the threaded cane and the white messenger ribbon. Both really helpful items that you pick up throughout the game. Well, less so the messenger ribbon. But the sword cane is a good backup item because it's very quick. So sometimes if you're working towards a heavier build, it's really good to have a very quick weapon to fall back on so that you can kind of change up your speed of your attacks to deal with the different situations. And now I'm going to do a little bit of just pushing through Yarnum, to be honest. I think I'm going to go and take on the ogres. These guys are really These guys are really easy to fight if you're using a heavy build, but they're not so easy if you're using the faster build, because the ogres are more kind of an opportunistic enemy. So you'll find a point where they're weak, and then you can exploit that and you can do a high amount of damage. But if you don't have a weapon that can do a high amount of damage, you find yourself kind of hitting them, doing like 60, maybe 80, and then having to fall back and run back. Whereas if you've got the big axe, you can kind of get them into a knockback loop where you're just constantly dealing damage and you're easily taking them down. That being said, as much as the axe is good for the ogres, it's not so good for the dogs. So I'm just going to push down here, try and take out the dog, build up some experience points. I do feel kind of bad taking out the ones in the cages, but every echo counts, like I say, every echo counts. And just go and pick up a few extra bits around here. This is a little secret area. I think most people find this, but you just get a cold blood dew out of it, which is just really helpful for leveling up and all those sort of things. And we're going to meet the one of my favourite characters in the game, the old woman. She gives us a bit of stick at first. I like to think that she's kind of scared and unsure and doesn't really want to trust anyone. But at the same time, she can be a bit of a bint. As you move through the game or get a bit further into the game, she becomes more of an ally and more helpful. And then she has a bit of a tragic ending to her story. So it's a bit of a sad arc, but it's a good arc. And then down here, this is again another area. I think just because people like smashing barrels, this tends to get found most of the time. The only thing that I do know a lot of people have fallen for is going straight in and attacking the huntress instead of talking to her. But basically all you have to do here is have a bit of a chat with her, and she'll give you a few extra bits like the Bold Hunter's Mark, which allows you to go back to a lantern, teleport back to a lantern without losing your blood echoes. It's pretty invaluable when you're farming. You can use it to gain levels very quickly by pushing far into a map. You can also use it for scouting, which is a really valuable thing to do in a new area, and something that I tend to do when I reach an area is to kind of scout it out and get a lay of the land. The other thing she gives you is a little emote or kind of action to use. These are pretty fun for the PvP kind of aspect of Bloodborne, invading and working together. Me and my friend, when we work together on Bloodborne, we like to kind of occasionally do the odd action to each other, the odd gesture to give a sense of immersion, I guess, and just kind of show that we're hunting it together. This was a point when I was completely losing it at the game. You can see that I'm making mistakes. I'm going to the short form of the axe, which is actually a little bit more helpful because it gives me a bit of speed against the rats, but basically 4 rats backing into a corner is pretty scary, and I'm not on full life because I just dropped down. That's a bit intimidating. I'm still a bit nervous here, and one rat takes the opportunity to have a proper go at me. He gets another hit in, and I'd be honest, I thought I was going to die here, lose all the echoes, lose the Pirate Beast echoes, got flashes in front of my eyes of just everything that I'll have lost. But created a bit of space, cooler heads prevailed, and took the rat out. Got another Madman's Knowledge. I'll start to cash them in later. The great thing about Madman's Knowledge, or kind of the worst thing about Madman's Knowledge, is that as soon as you push your number over 10, the game gets more complex, more kind of arcane and mystical elements are worked into the game, because you gain more insight to the world and kind of everything that's going on around you, so you start to see these things and pick up on these things. So I think at least until you reach kind of the Cathedral Ward area, it's really worth just keeping your insight down, spending it on stuff like the Pungent Blood cocktails, like the Resonant Bell, anything that you can to just kind of keep those costs down. So what I'm doing here is I'm just heading in further down the sewers, past the witches. Once again, I have a quick go at one of the hags to see how much damage I can do. Not enough to really keep up a prolonged fight against them. So I just brush past them, get to this ladder here, and this takes me to the next section of the game, which I'll be using after I defeat the Cleric Beast, which is the bridge over to the second boss and the rest of the game. This is one of my favourite encounters in the entire game, because it's a lot of fun for 2 reasons. First, if you time your attack well, you can do something like that, where you can stun everyone back and feel pretty good about yourself, and also the giant flaming ball of death makes it for a lot of fun. These are some really easy encounters, so it's a great place to farm because you can very easily get 5 kills from the ball of death, and if you time your attack against the ogre well, that's an ogre kill, and then you've got the shield guy, making for a good farming area. And then you've got options to kind of push back through the sewers or go up the secret passage, which I'm going to show you in a second, which will take you more towards kind of the fire area. So after I've got a nice crop of blood echoes, I decide to push back towards the land. This is a little secret. I presume that to get further in the game and to deal with the second boss, that most people need to or will have discovered this, but if you haven't, here it is. It just cuts off a lot of time on your commute into the second boss, and allows you to get to a different area of the map again with different enemies, which is really good for farming. So that's been the 3rd episode of Bloodborne versus the Sleuth. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share, follow, and come back tomorrow where there'll be episode 4.